And good evening, folks. How's everybody doing tonight? How's it going, Glenn? Paul, Russ, of course,
Yeah.
and anyone else that's out there. I am Javi. This is Russ. We are entertaining you.
All right. Let me hit this. Let me hit the sound here. There we go.
You didn't have sound?
Well, I had that thing put on and it was waiting for you to for it to come live, and I didn't get the
Oh,
sound. With the button wasn't available.
ah,
So as soon as I got back to it, I hear it going. Ah, crap! Let me go turn it off.
oh, oh, that thing. Yeah,
Yeah, that thing.
yeah. Well, let's. I'm going to do a few of these here things.
What we doing, man? What we doing?
Well, today I am.
Hey, there's Alex.
Hey, Alex. I am soldering limit switches. So, doing my best to. I gotta. Okay, so I have. Yeah, well, yeah, you guys can see them. I have a huge pile here of the 12-foot rolls. I got a huge pile over here of the um, 6-foot rolls. So the limit switches, the limit switch set that for those of you that buy a hobby box with the works, you includes the limit switches. That's the 6-foot, which is six. Usually, you have at most, if you have a 6-foot table, you have 3 feet from. Good evening, Dave. If you have 3 feet from, say, the center and the back of the box to one side or the other, and that's where your first limit switch is going to go, is right next to that motor, possibly, or next to the front, whichever one you want to put. That's the X. And then if you run it along the Y, it gives you 12 feet, which is double the length of the table, and then again another 12 feet to go up the gantry to the Z. If you need more, could always make the extensions. That's no big deal. But for now, I find that this is plenty of wire for most builds. And I always throw in a bit more than 12. Sometimes I throw in a bit more than 12. Sometimes it's 12, sometimes it's 13, sometimes it's 14. Depends how long my arms are that day.
Yeah, he uses that Cajun measurement. We just
That,
stretches it out, huh?
that's right. That's right. This is
Oh, that's
6 feet,
6 foot.
so I'll do this and a little bit more. Gotta love the Cajun measurements.
Yeah.
So I am exhausted today, folks. I spent the day with landscaping, doing some cutting some bamboo, and a friend of
Mako
mine.
Shark asked a question for you before you get
Oh yeah,
started on that,
go for it.
but he took it back.
Ah, okay. Well, what was it? What was the
He was
question?
referring to limit switches, and I think he said he bought some.
Mm-hmm.
Was wanting to know how to wire them,
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
that's easy enough. There
Well, he
are
took
two
it back.
ways. There are two ways to wire limit switches. Um, if you have a hobby box, uh, it's a simple matter. You have the limit switches from me. You wire them to the plug. You plug them in, and you plug the short cable to the box. You plug the long cable to the short cable. You plug the other long cable to the other long cable. Mount them, and you're done. If you have either a parallel or any other type of controller, then you got to wire to one of the inputs, and depending on your ports and pins, you're either going to set it for high or low, depending on, or rather, basically you're going to set it for either normally open or normally closed. And my preference is normally open. And the reason I have them normally open, because some people like to say, "Oh, normally closed is great because if there's a break, you know it, and you know, and well, same thing goes with normally open. If there's a short, you know it. But the thing about normally open is that I find for my switches is, and it's a simple matter to reconfigure them to normally closed. But um, the thing I find about normally open is that if one switch shorts, or if you find to have a short somewhere, all you got to do is rather, if a switch doesn't work, you just click it. Okay, and you see the diagnostic screen. Click, click, click. No. Click, click, click. No. Click, click, click. Hey, that's not activating. Okay, so there's your problem switch. If it does not click closed, if there's a short, again, simple matter: disconnect, disconnect, disconnect. Really, it's a matter of preference because the other way is just you do just the opposite. If you have a normally closed system, then rather than like I have my wires in parallel. That basically means that the my two wires of my switch here. I'll show you what one of the switches looks like. So you have a plug on one side that runs all the way through, and it goes to a plug on the other side, but in parallel, I have the switch wired up. So in essence, whether the switch is even here or not, the wiring is the same. This red goes to this red. This black goes all the way through to this black. So it's in parallel. In series, it's a little bit different because in series, you have this wired through one of the two through the switch and then to the end. There's only one problem. Gets a little more complicated, and I'd like to make it as simple as possible for my users. With a normally closed system, you have to terminate the other end. In other words, you have to put a plug at the end that shorts the two. So you basically have one huge circuit. And I find that this is much easier for wiring. It's less complicated for the average person who is my customer who doesn't want to deal with the electronics. If I start explaining to them all about whether they know about it or not, I start explaining about normally open, normally closed, and this and that, and you got to terminate this, and you got to plug them in. If you plug in one, oh, good evening, Alex. There's my well, Russ just left, but Alex said hello to Russ. If you plug in only 2 limit switches, not a problem. They'll work just the same. If you plug in 6 or 9 limit switches, because I sell them by the 3, not a problem. So bottom line is this is an easier setup for the newbie, and that's the main reason why I do the normally open setup. Normally closed, I would either have to terminate one of them and then tell people that I'm terminating it, or I'd have to give them a little plug and tell them, be sure to plug this in the end or it won't work. And, it's just why complicate matters, and that's the reason. Now, getting back to Mako's question, which he retracted, but I'll answer it anyways. And good evening, Big D. Good evening, Dave Krause. Good evening, Bobby. And anyone else I might have missed along the way. If by any chance you have a parallel port driver, all you have to do is either tap into +5 on one of these, and or ground, and then you put one of these to one pin, and you put the other one to either +5 or ground. Then you have to set in your ports and pins active high or active low. Active low if you put it to ground, active high if you put it to +5. And like I said, yeah, and Mako, that's exactly why I recommend parallel. But it's people have different opinions. Most people put them in series because they want any short to stop their machine. The problem with having it in parallel is if you disconnect one of the plugs by accident, if it's the first one, let's say, which with these particular plugs, just you got to really pull hard. I mean, but if you disconnect one by accident, then you're looking at, well, your switches won't work. But that's why at the beginning of most jobs, you test your switches. Or if you home, you'll know right away if the switch doesn't work. Whereas if you do it with the other way, which is then again, you could still have the same problem. You could forget or disconnect. If you disconnect the wire anywhere along the way, it will automatically be an error. 6 of one, half dozen of another. I can't say that enough. Okay, no worries, Russ. And by the way, guys, if I sound a little lethargic, for those of you that weren't here, it's because I was pretty much up early cutting bamboo and putting it in the burn pile and burning bamboo up until about half an hour ago. So it's been I'd like to publicly thank Andrew Haig, a CNCer in our community, who came by with his son and daughter, and they gave me a hand. Mostly him, son and daughter. They're kids. They let them go fishing and play with sticks while the rest of us. But they help too, and I got to tell you that hill that I climb to take care of all this stuff is just, between that and the sun, it's brutal, absolutely brutal. I mean, it's. I was kind of hoping for a little bit of that storm to rain on me, but I've got maybe a trickle of rain yesterday, and that's about it. It was nothing. But don't get me wrong, I'm not praying for a hurricane. How are you, Chris? Good to see you. All right, so I've got that's 1, and then the inner one 2, and the other side 3, and then the last one 4. Okay, so I stripped 4 times each cable. I got 25 cables of the short ones. Got 50 of the long ones. That's how many I'm doing. I won't get them all done tonight, but guaranteed you'll see me finish a few more in the next show, or maybe some e-stops. I don't know what I'll be doing between today and tomorrow, but there we go. And at least Now I'll start working on soldering the connectors and everything on the short ones. Oh, look, 4 more short ones that I missed. And my work has never ended. So let me see if I total that up correctly. 25 times 4, that's 100. And another 200 strippings for the big cables, because there's 2 of each for one of these. So yeah. It tends to be. Any questions by any chance? Whether it's on limit switches, which I happen to be doing today, or e-stops, or whatnots. I don't know what a whatnot is. But I think I'm getting a headache from the little bit of sun exposure. So it's ibuprofen time, folks. I don't like to take it. I don't take it very often, but yeah, well. Every once in a while, we get a headache. And for those of you that feel natural remedies are best, you take them. I'm a firm believer in medicine and take as little as possible of it. But when you have to, that's what it's there for. Oh, joy. Look at all these wonderful. Oh, look at that. Ooh. Stripped cables. There we go. Garbage. Now comes the fun part. Well, I say that a lot. Okay, where are my heat shrink? Here are my heat shrinking things. Well, I'm just going to keep cutting until the cows come home, because the beautiful thing about ordering the long strip of heat shrink is you don't have to worry about, if they come in different sizes, if they come in different thicknesses. You just order one roll of exactly what you need and cut it to size yourself. Well, let's just work on a few of these before we get too piled up. All right, let's see. Javi, have you tried burning the bamboo right on top of the roots? I did this with 3 bags of charcoal on my lilacs and killed it. Well, I would, except the bamboo is way too I it's a forest. And when I say forest, it's a nonstop forest of bamboo. I cannot burn it where it is, or the whole entire forest will catch on fire. And it's not a good thing, because there's a few trees in there as well, oak trees and such. So, and they're 30 to 60 feet high, so I can't very well burn it on the roots. But it's not a problem really, because I'll give you, for instance, 2.5 years ago when I started cutting the bamboo, there's a section already that I cut, and once a year the month after I cut it, about 100 to 200 shoots popped up, all about 8 feet tall in 3 weeks. It was growing season. It was bamboo season, but I I mowed them down because they were all when they're new. They no, Dave, I'm not streaming to Facebook because I only do that in the Saturday shows. I will I got a lot of friends on Facebook and I try to make the Saturday shows interesting, but this is just me gabbing and it's a specific crowd that wants to sit back and relax and follow along with me here. The bulk of my friends would go, "Oh, this again," and click and right off. I got a lot of friends, personal friends on Facebook, and all my high school and I don't know. Maybe they might be interested, but I'd feel they would ignore my regular feeds if I did that. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong, but we'll see. But anyway, so I chopped down the bamboo. Then a month after that there were like 200 shoots, I mowed it. This was maybe I don't know, probably a sixth of an acre, a quarter acre, something like that, a section. Not even a quarter. It was like a sixth of an acre. And since then, every month, I come in with the mower, and there's an occasional one or two pop up. And then last year during, I don't know, I think it was March or April, it was a growing season. Maybe 8 or 9 popped up, but they were a lot smaller. So basically, grass is growing there, and bamboo is not. It'll take 3-4 years of me mowing it constantly, but I feel that that it's gone. And here's the thing: if I mow it on a regular basis because there's grass, I mean, how often do you mow your lawn? Once every week to once every 2 weeks. Uh, Bamboo will just be another grass by that time. It won't have time to grow up too long because the big ones, once you cut the big ones, they don't come back as hardy. You'll get a bunch of little tiny ones which take a month to grow maybe that big, and they look more like grass than anything else, so they're kind of nice, and you can mow them. But well, there's that. Okay, where am I? I can't even think anymore. See, if I would have thought, I would have put these things in before I stripped them, but because this is stranded wire, so it's not easy. Now I bend them so the little things don't come off. And well, I'll share with you what I do with them now. So one side gets the male. Oh, let me get that there now. Hang on. Just grab a bunch of males, grab a bunch of females. So that's what I got to do. I got to spend the time to put I could put the thing on this. That's what I did last time. I knew I forgot something, but rather than putting it on the strands before I strip these, I'll put the thing on it next time. So anyways, one side is the male, so I'll grab the male. And this is the part that's is that on? No, that's not on. I never turned on the solder pot. I don't really need it now. This is probably going to be a short show, guys, because I am exhausted. So yeah, like I said, the bamboo. I've gotten quite far. I've gotten quite far with the bamboo situation. Um, I've almost got it all. Well, not almost. It'll be a while. I thought I was going to get it all done. With Andrew, but both of us were extremely overwhelmed with how big the job is. It's just it's way too much. It's something that I'll be doing little by little, and I'll probably be doing. I'll probably be doing it over the next 2 or 3 weeks that I'm here, and the next 2 or 3 months that I'm here. But I'm within a month or two, I'm breaking ground. So it's that time. Okay, so here we are, and of course I forgot one of them. So tough luck for me. I gotta, as usual, I gotta take off one of them. I don't know, must have fallen. So this is what I do. I have the male end on one side, and then now where I put the female end. So here's the female end. What I'll do is the following. This gets a little complicated. Well, it doesn't really get complicated. When I do 50 of them at once, I don't forget anything. When I do one at a time, I do. So let me not put these on. Okay, so I put the female end, but first I do this puppy, then this puppy. So now I tin the two wires. So I put the female end with no heat shrink. In case you are planning on doing something like this, I mean, this is what I do. And then, so I've got it tinned. Then what I do is just snip the tips, whatever. At that point, I put in my two heat shrinks. So notice I've got the female end on the wire, and then I slipped the two heat shrinks, because on the female end, that's where I got the two. Now there are three positions here. This is the common in the middle. The one away from the roller is the normally open, so it closes, click. Think of it like a switch. This switch will close these two contacts. This switch will also open these two contacts, the bottom two. So this one in the center is shorted with the bottom one at the moment, and the one in the center is open with the top. So I take there it is, my famous extra hand, whatever. Oh. And this is a simple job now, because what I end up doing is the following. I take the for those of you that want to know how to solder these things on, thread it through, bend it. So it's just a simple, let me see, where's that camera? It's just a simple bend here. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. Again, remember, it's soldered, so it's lead, it's going to bend easily. So now I have both of them hanging there, bent. I take my needle nose pliers and kind of crimp them so they're really holding on. And then it's a very, very simple matter of tinning them. Well, soldering them. And one. There it is. And two. Now, once they're soldered, hey, Dennis, how are you? Once they're soldered, then, of course, you don't have to do this, but I like to anyway. And where did they go? I put the. Oh, yeah, of course. As you see, I soldered the wrong ones. Oh, that's so funny. See, that's what happens when I'm tired. This is going to be a very short show. Very short show, folks. So now I got to unsolder them because, there you go. I soldered the male side instead of the female side. You don't want to do that. That's a bad thing. I was wondering where see, I had just put the two heat shrinks on, and I was about to heat shrink it, and I go, I wonder where it went, and I was on the wrong side. So again, female side has the little thingy. It's just, I'm tired. It's not my day. I mean, it's my day, but I'm tired. So watch Javi mess up soldering. Soldering with Javi. Hey, we all make mistakes, particularly when we've been up since early in the morning cutting bamboo. Okay, so let's take this again. This time, I will bend, give a little 90-degree bend on both of these wires, make it easy on myself, and bend them into the positions. Make sure they're the right cable. And then do the old solder again. When everything is quiet and I'm here alone in the office, I guarantee you guys this goes a lot faster than it does. But when I'm trying to explain stuff and show you and I can't even think, well, okay, so there's the culprit close. I mean, then you got these two there, and then it's a simple matter of taking the heat gun and shrinking that, and I'm not going to do that now because I'm not going to do that now. Where is my phone? Here is my phone. Again, I am distracted by my arcade, so off you go. That's a beautiful thing. And I'll grab another one and just start doing something. First thing that I'll do now is solder the. I'm going to put all these stupid little things on the male ends because if not, I'll forget it. So, did anybody out there run into any problems with that storm that we had? Anybody out here on the East Coast? Is it north? I believe it's hitting North Carolina or something, or might be. I don't know. I don't think it's even a storm by now. And for any folks that are waiting on some hobby boxes, um, I may or may not be running a couple days late on them because I had some other issues to take care of while I was up here. So you could thank. Well, I'll tell you the story one day after it's all over, but um, I needed to take care of some uh, paperwork, we'll call it, and there was one issue after another. So I couldn't spend the time that I normally do on the boxes. So I'm a couple days late. I might still get them out in time, but I was expecting to get out the current orders by the 5th. It might be by the 10th, but we'll see. Either way, they'll be out very soon. And and the ones after that, anybody that orders one now may actually receive it by possibly by the 14th, which is a record time. It's going to be in Pennsylvania. Holy cow. I would imagine that by now it's just a little rainstorm. And that's, I mean, well, it was not even a rainstorm over here. I don't know if you could even call it a rainstorm. You know, I'm currently I'm building, or rather I'm going to be building very soon. So needless to say, I'm luckily I'm going to start building after hurricane season, and I should get it done by, well, hopefully by the next hurricane season. But that's one thing that always has worried me because I mean I've had issues being a contractor's son. We have had times where the storm has come by and you just happen to be at your most susceptible. Your your walls were just put up. They're not braced or anything. You're about to put in your tie beams, your columns, or your forms, or something or other, and sure enough, that's when the storm hits and knocks down a couple of your walls, and it's a pain in the butt. It's a big pain, but it is what it is. So my cousin Al came by today, and his son was having a blast on the arcade, just game after game after game. It's a fun little toy. Eventually, I might sell some for family and friends, but the electronics is a piece of cake. The I have to coordinate. I have to do the. I might sell it as a kit. Just carve out the CNC parts because the electronics is so simple, but just putting it together, um, you know, well, it's such a pain that I don't even have this one completely together. I don't have the lights on top. I don't have the. There's a lot I don't have on this one, so it is what it is. Hey, Clyde, how's it going? Good to see you, or so to speak. If anybody would like to join me, I mean, I have nothing against people joining me on the show. So, by all means, let me know if you want to join, and I'll send you a link and we'll chat a bit. If you've got a webcam and a computer and a mic or a phone, that's all you need. I'll send you a link. You just click on it, and it'll ask you this or that, or is it okay to use your mic and your camera? Yes, yes. Okay, you're on. Welcome to the show. So, if any of you guys are up for it, by all means, let me know. I'll send the link. I'm just the only reason I'm still here is I just trying to get ahead, you know, because I am so tired. I'll probably after the show I'll definitely hit the hay. Tomorrow I'm going to map out a little bit of the property because I have to get the certain numbers to the architect where certain numbers are going, and well, how far away from the property line this is and that is, and I want it to be on the nose. So it's not a square piece of property. It's a trapezoid with four. If a trapezoid had a baby with a parallelogram, that's what my property looks like. That's pretty much what it looks like. A skewed property. Trapezoid. I just about got 25 little connectors ready. I got to order a bunch more of the. I thought I had. It's the weirdest thing. I guess I lost count because I order a whole batch of these things, and it seems like I go through them. I really gotta double check the count. I'll do that tomorrow. Yeah, go for it, Clyde. I'll be happy to. Um, I'll send you a link through Facebook if you like. Let me know when you're ready for it. Yeah. I am so wow. It's just I cannot wait until the wintertime. Wintertime, where I'll be doing the structural part of the house, and I'll send you the link through Facebook. Let me do that and see how that goes. So, boom, 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 and boom. And there's the link. So click on that, follow whatever instructions are there, and drop on in. Oh. 2 more. 2 more. Can't say I'll be on for too much longer. Probably do a 9 o'clock today. I'm tired. 1 more. 1 more. And there. It's this part. Okay. Yeah, it's a little peace and quiet around here. I don't know if you guys enjoy the peace and quiet or not, or if you find it a little slow or boring, but, well, sorry about that. Give me a subject and I can rattle on about anything, but without you guys to feed me something, just fall asleep right here. Takes 2 to tango. I missed the solder pot. I should put the solder pot on. All right, so there's 1. Yay. 1 side of 1. That's what I'm going to do now is put 1 side of each one. Then I'll do the other side. So how many people got current Gatton builds right now? How many people out there are in the process of building their Gattons and still haven't finished? Just out of curiosity. And of those people, how many people have my Javi box and are either using it on a Gatton or about to? Nothing to report on the laser project yet. I mean, I'm trying to see what I can do to get caught up. I don't want to take on any new projects yet because as it is, I'm just barely keeping up with the orders, and they're not that many orders. It's just I've been trying to do 10 to 12 orders a month. And now this month I pushed myself to see if I can knock out 20 so I can have a couple of months, in reserve. And the reason for that is I want to, well, number one, I need to work on the different projects, but the other reason is because I also have the, soon I'll be building the house. So we'll see how everything falls. I don't know if the laser project, once I get the laser project off the ground, then it'll be a simple matter of duplicating it, making a bunch of them. But got to do all the research first. I got to do all the, and I've already got the parts. So I'm a little ahead of the game. It's just I gotta write a script. There's some stuff I gotta do. Looking for thin woods for making a mountain dulcimer. You know, I had a dulcimer that I lent to a friend years ago, and it's my own fault for not picking it up. My own fault. But then again, I wasn't really big on that dulcimer. But yeah, you're gonna need some thin wood for that. Brang braka baka bang brang 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 braka baka brang 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 brang. That's what I used to play with it. It's all I ever played with it. Let's see. Waiting on my software order and 5-foot cable and e-stop to power up. Sweet. Okay, Bobby, did you order that? Okay. Okay, guys, refresh my memory now that you guys are all here. Who ordered a cable from me? Because I don't want to look at my list and stuff. Who ordered a cable from me and has not received it? Just an extension cable. And what type of extension cable was it? Because again, my mind right now, I'm sorry if I can't think of it, but I'm out of it. And there's Clyde. Let's see if. Hey, Clyde, how's it going?
Not bad. How are you, Javi?
Good. Good to see you and hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got a couple of signs today on Gatton. Works pretty good.
Sweet.
I love it.
It's a great machine. It's a great machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad I did that job, but I did that build, but it took me a while.
Yeah. Well, you're preaching to the choir here. I already had a CNC when I bought a Gatton, so for me, I was in no rush, and it took me a year and a half to, with all the parts in my possession, to just start it.
Well,
but that's not a record, by the way.
Oh yeah. Well, I got 3 CNCs here.
Yeah.
I got 2 mills and then the Gatton.
Yeah.
I could maybe I can. I don't know how you turn this around. Maybe I can show you guys. There's the Gatton.
Let me see.
And I got this. I have this little one here. I don't know if you can see that.
Yep, I see that one. Is that a K40 or something, or what the heck is it?
This one, okay, I'll explain this one in a minute. But this one here I purchased about 6 years ago. It's powerful.
Yeah.
It's got NEMA 34s and ball screws.
Yeah.
But I'm limited with the size. I can't make big signs with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, the little one, I volunteer at a place called Computers for Kids. And somebody brought it in there. It was destroyed. Like the wires were all cut, and it was pretty old. So I built a controller for it and put little NEMA 23 motors on it, and it works fine.
Yeah,
it works fine, but it's only 4 inches by 8-inch travel.
Oh yeah.
And I can't even cut aluminum. It don't have enough.
That's basically, they probably use that for plastic nameplates or something like that.
Yeah, well, I think it was more for like demonstration or something.
Yeah.
But that got me going. I built my own controller and it worked fine. So I said, well, now if I can do that, I can build a, like the Gatton. So
okay, Bobby, hang on. Let me interrupt you for that. Okay, Bobby, I'll get right on that. I'm sorry about that. Let's see. A green cable and the e-stop. That's right. Okay, so I got to put you on my list because I sometimes when people email me directly and they pay through PayPal, I forget to put them on the list. So you should see your name with a PP 010 or 011 or whatever with an order number soon coming on my build update list. So Just saying. But I'll get to that right away. I should have it in a couple days. And I'll send it right out to you. So I apologize for that, Bobby. I'm sorry, Clyde. Go ahead.
Oh, I forgot what I was saying now.
Oh
well.
When you have a when you have a system, and then all of a sudden the system something's out of the system, then you got to have a system for other systems. Yeah. So you were saying about the build.
I built a controller for the little one.
Right.
And everything worked so good. I figured, well, that portion of the job, I know how to do it.
Right.
So anyways, then I decided to get the Gatton. So
yeah,
that part of me building it was to build my own controller as well, not just the machine.
Right.
I wanted to do the whole job.
Yeah.
And it come out pretty darn good, I think.
Yeah.
It works really good.
It's not hard to build a controller, not at all.
You got to do your homework.
Well, yeah. I mean, for me, it's always was a piece of cake, but it's time consuming, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
To do it right. I mean, you can't just slap stuff together either.
Well, but I got some buttons on the front here. I got a pause and it starts again. Or I got the e-stop and also I can cancel the program.
Right.
That's those things you can use on the Arduino, eh? It's pretty neat.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and I've done programming on the Arduino as well, but
well, I didn't do the programming. I downloaded Gerbil.
Oh, okay.
Gerbil, you just flash it. Flash the Arduino and you're good to go.
Yeah.
All the programming is done with Gerbil.
Well, I did something similar with the arcade behind me. It's using a Raspberry Pi. All I did was just flash the drive and boom, I got myself a whole arcade system.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of adding Bluetooth to the Arduino. Then I could run the CNC with my phone or a tablet.
Yeah.
That would be neat.
Yeah, I suppose.
Because I got a PC here, an old PC that I'm running it with.
Yeah, see, there's certain things. There's certain things that would be advantageous, like being able to stop or being able to. But I mean, you got to be there anyway to load the wood. So there's no point in making everything remote. However, if there is a problem, viewing it, for instance, with cameras, that's always a plus. Being able to pause it or stop it, that's always a plus. I mean, I'll be watching TV with my kids and the thing's running a long program. I'd like to be able to see it on my phone. And I'm watching a movie, I'll glance down. If I see a problem, I'll hit pause or I'll turn it off. And when I finish the movie, I'll get back to it, But I hate controlling stuff with. Well, I say that. I say I hate controlling stuff with the phone. Yet here I am with my. Here, I'll show you right now. Okay, here I am. Let's turn off the office lights. Okay, so this one, that's the top one. Let me turn off the bottom one. Hang on. This one. So hey,
Alexa
there's my.
could do that.
And, yeah. Well, this is fun. This is a piece of cake. This is just something that's so. There's a. Look up Google Casa, Kasa, Casa spelled with a K. And there's this thing from TP-Link. All it is these Wi-Fi enabled switches, and I got 20 of them in this room alone. Because well, here's the thing. When I leave the office, or when I leave the lab or the workshop, whatever you want to call this place, I hit one button and it shuts off everything at once. My fan, my AC, my lights, my top lights, my bottom lights, the solder pot, the glue gun, the thing. I'll turn them on individually, or I'll turn them all in one blow, but I'll turn them all off. I got 3 different lights outside. I've got lights to help me see at night when I'm walking. So I mean, all of them. As soon as I get to my room, click, boom, everything's off, and it's a big advantage. So, but normally I'm not one for remote control. Um, except in the case of safety, like you don't want to leave any. Yeah, I certainly don't want to leave any soldering gun on, even though
Oh,
it's
I've done that.
yeah, it's protected and everything. Yeah, and so have I. But you still don't
Yeah.
want to do it. Let's see next.
Yeah, I was cutting a job out the other day, and I put the changed end mill, 1/4 inch end mill,
Mm-hmm.
and I touched my Z off. I just used a paper deal, eh?
Right.
Anyway,
Right.
well, I didn't hit zero. I didn't zero the Z. I thought I
Yeah.
did. Oh, I fired. It was about a 1/2 inch longer than the other.
You went right into the board.
Well, that ruined that job.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It didn't. It didn't.
We've
It
all
didn't
been
get the
there.
foil board, but yeah, it went about 2 inches.
I had one the other day. I'll tell you a horror story with, and I've told this one before. I don't know if you heard it, but I was this was some time ago. I so I have a mount on my on the Cam Master. I actually have a mount that's meant for a 3.5 inch router, but I bought a spindle, and the spindle's 80 millimeter, which is about 3 inches. So what I did was now because I had a trophy shop for years, and I still have tons of that, the aluminum plaque material. So what I did was I cut a bunch of strips of it. It's nothing more than it's a 3003 aluminum, or whatever. It's nothing more than thin aluminum. So I cut a bunch of semicircles, like strips, 1 inch high, which is the thickness of the clamp, and about 3 inches long. They each curved around on either side of the clamp. I put the clamp a little tight, and I had maybe 10 of them on either side, or 8 of them on either side, and it was just the right thickness to make it. All right. Then I clamped them down. So now I have centered and clamped my rig for my spindle. And it ran great for a year or two. And one day I noticed that the shims, I'll call them, were sliding off. And I go, oh, and I thought to myself, I better take a look at that and better realign it, and it's a pain in the butt, because with my machine, you got to re-zero you got to calibrate it. Well, I better do that before it falls off. I ran a job. I didn't think anything of it, ran a job. And the next thing you know, that spindle, again, I'm in the other room, and then I hear this noise, and I go, oh, there's something wrong with that. It's a 1/2 inch shank, and I had luckily it wasn't an Amana bit, because that was expensive, but it was a white side, I believe. 1/2 inch shank, 1/4 inch. It's one of those they curve down, a 1/4 inch end mill on the router. Now my dust collector is custom made, and it's clamped on there, and the hole is smaller than the router. So luckily, when the router dropped off the clamp in mid job, it was basically bouncing around on top of the fan, the thing that held my dust collector. So every time it went down, so now imagine, if you will, here's the router, here's where it normally is, and now it's just hanging here. So now it goes, every time it goes down and just across, it went down, it tore, and now that Cam Master solid aluminum, it tore through until the bit broke. There was a gash about 1.5 inches deep through my spoil board, all the way through, and across, zigzaggy thing. Meanwhile, this thing was bouncing because when I came back, there was like maybe a little nub of a bit left. And that was every time it went down, it would gouge whatever piece it was working on. It was about just half an inch thick. And oh, it was horrible. It was a horror story. It was what it was, But the best part was, and since it was hanging by only the aviation connector that you see on those spindles and the two water lines. Imagine if the water lines would have popped off with the pump going on, just spilling all over the place. Thank God they didn't. But oh wow, that was an experience.
Well, I did a little while back. I made an X move, and I had my vise on the table on that mill. And I had an increment set at 4 inches, and I hit the plus instead of the minus, and it ran right into the vise. But the vise is hardened steel. It busted a half-inch solid carbide right in half. Just kept right on going. Didn't even stop.
Didn't even stop.
Them NEMA 34s. I told Dave. I says those things got power.
Yeah, I'm telling you, and that goes to show. I mean, people got to be careful. We treat these machines like a tool, but there hasn't been, luckily, thank God, there haven't been many incidents that I've heard of people accidents or losing fingers or stuff, but it's more than possible. I mean, one time I got my hand caught, and luckily it stopped, without crushing any bones. But and now I'm running NEMA 23 269 ounce motors on the Cam Master, and but they're geared, it's rack and pinion, so it's 5-to-1 gear ratio. So these things and solid, this thing will crush your hand easy. People got to realize this is a machine. This is a very, very dangerous machine.
I ended up only using 270-inch ounce on the Z because
you don't need anymore.
There was a Amazon with the 425s, and I got all 3 of them for a reasonable price, but it wasn't listed 4 of them.
Right.
So I needed another motor. Well, to buy one 425, it was kind of expensive, and I figured,
$45.
I remembered that's Canadian dollars is more.
Oh, anyway, that's right, Canadian. Yeah.
Anyways, plus sometimes they charge you for to import it. So,
yeah.
So I remember you saying about using a TB66 on just the Z because the Z don't need as much.
Yeah.
So I figured, well, you know what? I'll get the 420, the DM, 542, but I'll get the 270. And I remember you saying that 270s have enough power.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about it. You're not drilling.
Well, the thing is,
you're not. I mean,
it's made out of wood.
Yeah,
I'll bet you these 425s got enough power to rip that block right off the side.
The 260, the 425s definitely.
Yeah,
the 269s
maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not, but almost just enough.
As long as they don't miss a step, and we're okay.
Yeah, but I have run those things at full bore into those little. I mean, if you build it right, those little plywood stops, they'll stop those motors. They won't stop a NEMA 34. You'll pop that right off. That I can guarantee you. But and that's why it's like people say, why are you using this? Why are you, I hear people all the time, why don't you use NEMA 34s? Because it's a plywood machine. And
you don't need that much power.
Why don't you put a V8 on a Volkswagen? I mean, because you don't need it. It's a waste, is what it is.
I can cut with NEMA 34s on my mill, I can
Right.
cut with a 1/2 inch end mill in steel.
Right.
It'll cut. It'll cut it
Oh yeah.
without missing steps. But it's got ball screws too,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they're 200 pitch, so one revolution and
Yeah.
it moves 200 thou. And yeah, it's got a lot of power.
It's a beautiful thing.
But the only thing is, I would like the controller is so old and outdated. I got to run XP
Yeah.
because it's got a COM port to USB adapter in the so I don't know how it works, but
Yeah.
the driver is only in XP. I can't get the driver for even Windows 7.
Right.
So I got this old junk computer running XP on it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, I mean the reason I went with the with all the things I did, especially with Mach 3 and all this for the Javi boxes is plain and simple is universal.
Yeah, well, your goal was to
To
get guys out of a mess that didn't know how to do it.
yeah, exactly. Because I mean, people
And-
every now and then I'll get that question. Why didn't you do Gerbil? I know how to do Gerbil. I'm not going to teach somebody how to do Gerbil when you know is and then
Well, the only
but it's
reason-
so easy. It's so easy, and there's zero support compared to Mach 3. I mean, you know,
Well,
yes,
there's a lot of support, but
yeah, there's a lot of support, but it's
the-
like
it's
it's
free.
like yeah, exactly. But it's here's the thing. But $175 is if they're paying for me to build them a ready-made machine, they can afford $175 for a very good CAD CAM program. And it's like the difference between Apple and PC. And then I'll get a lot of letters for this one, but all my life in the past, Apple has been ahead of the game. Up until Windows 3.1 came out, Apple was still way, for years. And even now in graphic situations and in that, still the industrial side that people use, they use Linux mostly, but they use Apple's. Here's the thing, Linux and Apple, both of them, we'll just say both. Better machines than PCs, hands down. More useful, hands down. Far less support. There's a lot of support for them, but you're not going to get the average Joe to be comfortable when they're not comfortable with computers in general. Whereas you put them in front of a PC with 100 other people who have PCs, you can easily get. They can easily get help and easily get instructions. Whereas you give them Linux and oh my God, how do you? What's a hashtag? I mean, I'm sorry, and so that's. I mean, yeah, it's all about ease of use, and I mean, the community, it's like. My hobby box, I've had people that have had Avids that bought a hobby box. I've had people that have had an Xbox one. One had a Piranha, I think, and somebody had this other DIY thing. So I've had other people. Most of them are Gattons. Most of my customers are Gattons because I mean I'm in that community and it's a fantastic build, but. It's not to say that my box won't work on others. It's just if you're building your first CNC machine, come on, ready-made plans, very simple build. And here's the best part, support. Again, it all comes down to a huge community. You go to the Gatton website, the Gatton Facebook site, you ask a question, and I guarantee you, Dave, and he's there listening to every question, will still be not the first person to answer the question. It's gotten to the point that he doesn't even have to answer the question because 9 times out of 10, somebody else will say, listen, this is how you do it, because it's an extremely helpful and giving community, and we've all been through whatever issue a newbie has been through. It's like me it's like me with the hobby boxes. When in the rare case that someone has a problem with it, because it is plug and play. If somebody says, "How do I do this? How do I do this?" or "I've had this problem," I've gone through all the problems, so I can easily walk them through a fix. The joys.
You're running 64. Was it 6400? 6400 steps per rev.
Yeah. No, I believe
on the
it's.
hobby.
Let me check. That's a good question. Give me a second. Let me look at one of the controllers. See, people ask me that, and I always forget because I don't. Where did I put those? There they are.
Yeah, I'm running 3200.
I know the switches by order. I set all the switches. 6 and 8 down, everything. So it's let's see, 6 and 8 down is so I
32.
actually have to look at it. 6, 8.
Yeah, you got yours at 32, I think. I got mine at 16. And then I got to divide it by 25.4 instead of an inch because
mine are at 6,400.
Yeah, mine at 3,200 per inch.
Mine are 6,400, and I run it at 12.8 on the machine.
Yeah. So what I did is then I got to divide it because Gerbil, it's metric. So you got to convert that to metric.
Holy cow! Yeah, that's a pain.
It's easy. It's just 25.4 divided with the calculator.
Oh yeah.
And put that big long number. Decimal. Da 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 da. I
Do it once and you're done. Yeah, and those things are it's and as you say, this is easy. This is easy. This is easy. It's just it's a lot of steps for the average person that they don't have.
Yeah, well, if they don't know what it is, yeah.
Yeah.
See, your controller that you have, I could purchase one of them, pull that Arduino out, put that in my box, and it'd be put Mach on it, and away I'd go.
Yep, pretty much.
Just put the settings like you have, and away we go.
Yep. Sort of, but yeah. I mean, I wish I wish I could say it's that easy, and it is that easy. But But here's the problem. I've had people constantly tell me. I've had easily half a dozen people who have purchased all the materials, all of them, to build the electronics, and basically returned them on Amazon or sold them, and bought a hobby box. Because they spent 3 weeks trying to get the thing to run, and the motors wouldn't run.
Well,
it's not hard, but it's over 200 connections, and a bunch of settings, and some software settings
and Mach settings.
The Mach. And that's the beautiful thing. It's like I said, it's a plug and play box. They get Mach 3. They upload my profile. All the settings are done. In fact, all the settings are done for the e-stop, for the inputs, for the router box, for all the inputs and output settings are even set up. In fact, pretty soon I'm going to be setting up the settings for the zero touch plate because I haven't done that yet because I haven't had a spare moment. But it's
that's what I'm thinking of.
Glenn is telling me I'm getting my second wind. Yeah, pretty much. But I'm still tired. But yeah, it's not hard. It's time consuming. It's and that's the only reason I'm selling them is to save people time. It's not to save them difficulty because it's not difficult. But then again, I say that. I keep having to stop myself because I say that, and then there's people that argue against me. It is difficult. Well, for a lot of people, it is. So I stand corrected.
Well, I'm gonna head in now.
I'll
watch you on the TV.
All righty, I'll be here on for another 10 minutes or so.
Yeah. Okay. You take care then.
Thanks for dropping in, Clyde, and
Nice
nice
meeting
chatting
you.
with you. Likewise. Have a good one.
Yeah. You too.
That was Clyde Labonte, folks. Glad he could drop in. Always, Clyde's always sending me pictures of his latest project or what he's doing and stuff. Morning, Bart. How are you doing? Good to see you. Oh man. Yeah, I think I've been going at a clip with these things, so I'll probably I'll give it another 10 minutes and see how many I get done. Because I still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 8 of them. I think I can knock them out in record time here. All right. How many do we have left? Let's keep it going. Keep it going. Keep it going. I'm a big Dick Van Dyke fan, and I've seen all of the Dick Van Dyke shows a few times. You know, TV Land, and then I got the whole collection and all this. And there was this one with I forgot the man's name. On the show, he's known as Edwin Karp. No, it's not Edwin Karp. It's another one. Yeah, it might be Edwin Karp. Anyway, keep it going. Oh, that was it. It was, nope, I'm remembering the show now. It was actually Henry Gibson. So for those of you who, well, those of you familiar with Henry Gibson from Laugh-In, he played Sally's date once. I don't know if you guys remember that episode. And he did this one little poem that's just stuck in my head. Well, not the whole thing, obviously, because I can't relate it, but it said something to the effect of keep it going. When life gets you down, something, keep it going. At the end of the whole thing, Sally goes to him, whatever his name was, keep it going. It's quite and funny. A lot of good Dick Van Dyke shows. You know, a lot of good guest stars on those shows. Like there was a guy. I didn't like Richard Dawson when he played Tracy Kerrigan or Tracy Culligan or whatever it is. He played an arrogant bachelor on the show, and I liked Gregory Morris when he was on the show. That was fantastic. That was Gregory Morris from Mission Impossible. That was a funny episode as well. What other good episodes were there on the Dick Van Dyke Show? I'm trying to think of other guest stars. Every time I think of Dick Van Dyke Show, I think of the my favorite 3 classic comedians. I mean, Mel Brooks, Sid Caesar, and Carl Reiner. Probably, I mean, incredible all. Growing up watching most of their stuff. Oh, couldn't see the chat when you were on with your phone. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. It's answering that border question. Dick Van Dyke Show. Who else was on that show? That guest starred on that show. There were a lot of good guest stars on that show. Well, his brother, Jerry Van Dyke, always was funny. And feel free to ask me any questions for the last few minutes here. I've got another 4 left. I'm just going to finish off these 4 and then call it a night. But probably be another 5 minutes or so. And feel free to ask any questions. So I'll share with you guys. I'll see. I mean, I like sharing, but at the same time, I gotta be careful what I share because I don't know. I'm not that much of a private person, obviously, but my family is. So you won't hear me, other than how fond I am of them. Obviously, you won't hear me mentioning too much about them. Certainly not. Well, rarely showing their faces. But other things, like the progress of the build and stuff like that, you guys will eventually see it. But there are things that are that I'll be doing on the property that for security reasons, obviously, I wouldn't share them until 6 months have passed or a certain amount of time has passed. And other things that, yeah. See, I look at some people out there. That say, "Oh, I just did this to my house, and I just did this to my house, and I just did this to my house," and then and I'm thinking to myself, because look, I've been a general contractor and working with the county all my life, and I'm thinking, man, if that was in this county, that's royally illegal. And if that's over here, that's illegal. And if that's over here, that's illegal. Now I'm in a new place, so I don't know what's legal and what's not legal. So that's one reason why I rather not share. But, as soon as I find out. But either way, even if it is legal, I wouldn't do anything illegal, but I can't understand why people that do share it. It's like you see those guys on I just they buy marijuana or something, and then they smoke it on YouTube, and then Then they're surprised when they get caught, or somebody that does that films a traffic violation. You know, sometimes you just got to wonder. And pretty soon laws are going to change as far as that's concerned, because that's, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with things like that. But, on the one hand, this community has gotten to the point that you can share just about anything. On the other hand, it's a problem if you share just about anything. Because let's say I tell people, well, I put my garbage can out on Tuesdays just to piss off my neighbor, because you're supposed to put it out on Thursdays. Well, okay, that's a bad example. Let's say I just tell people, well, I put it out on Tuesdays because I'm not able to put it out on, because I work and I'm not putting it out on in the morning. Well, in certain parts of the country, and my part of the country is, if you believe it or not, in Miami-Dade, if you have your garbage can out prior to, I'm not sure, I believe it's 6 p.m. or 4 p.m. on the day. Let's put it this way. If you leave your garbage can out and don't bring it in, you can get cited. There are a lot of dumbass rules in this country. Really, really lame rules. I understand the reasons for some of them, but yeah, it's just, some of them are a bit of a nuisance. There shouldn't be rules like that. You should have the decency to pull in your garbage can, and if you don't, well, it shouldn't be an ongoing thing. They shouldn't have to make a rule to do that, to protect that. Just like, well, anyway, certain rules are just dumb rules. Here's another one. You're not allowed to build a garage or a steel building or a shop before, in many counties, you're not allowed to build a shop before you build a house. So on a vacant property, you can't build a shop. It's your own land. They will not let you pull a permit for a shop. And obviously, if you build one without a permit, they'll cite you for it and make you tear it down. It's your own land. I stress that again. Okay. On the one hand, I do understand completely. It's a safety issue. You don't want somebody there just having a shop with no facilities, with where you can get hurt, and you don't have a phone call. You don't have a phone. You don't have, people in today's day and age, they have phones. They have the. Now, here's my issue with that problem. Let's say you're building a house. Let's say you're building your own house. What are you going to build it? Where are you going to build it? I mean, okay, granted, I've been a GC for years. I know you build it outside and stuff, but where are you going to store your materials? Where are you going to build the frames of your house and things like that? Where are you going to put your tools and stuff? I understand in normal, everyday construction, people build the structure in a matter of 2 weeks. They build the frame of the house. Even one person doing it himself builds the frame of the house. The truss people come on and put them on, or you put the trusses on and you dry in the roof. And then once you have dry in, you have a place to work in the shade. Okay, I understand that. But wouldn't it be 10 times more convenient to have a ready-made shop first to build the rest of the house from? A steel building type thing. Can't bowl on Sundays. There's a beautiful one. See, in Florida, there's a rule in the books that you cannot walk your pet alligator without a leash. First of all, who the hell has a pet alligator? But I understand that. Okay. That's a stupid old rule, and I understand stupid old rules. There are rules in many parts of the country where you cannot, unless you're in a standard position, you cannot have relations with your own wife inside the house in any position other than a normal, what they call normal position. That's, first of all, how do they find out? Who would report you? And then who would take you in for that? But there's a rule on the books. I mean, see, those are the things that frustrate me. Over-regulation and stupid regulations. Who's to say what's a stupid regulation? Common sense. And there's the problem. Rules that go against common sense. I understand certain codes, building codes. I completely agree with them because they're for the safety of everybody. But there are some others that, well, the wife would tell. Yeah, this magnetic bar is the most. I Harbor Freight or wherever you get them, this is the best thing in the world. I mean, just there's my tools. They're ready. They're done. Here's my screwdriver. Got it. Here's my little tiny screwdriver. Got it. Here's all my bits. Let me shut off my soldering iron and I'll do it. I'm not going to see. My cousin said, why don't you just reach over and press the button? It's too far. I could just go over here and let's see. Glue gun is on. Well, turn that off. Soldering, where are you? Soldering iron off. I love these remote control switches. I really love them. Like I said, turn off the lights. Yeah, piece of cake. I'm in the dark. Hey, the computer screen is my only light now. Well, anyway, let's leave the lights on. So, stupid rules. I'm sorry. Yeah, common sense. Unfortunately, it's not too common for most people. I understand that completely, Paul, and I agree with you. But that's the problem. That's the problem. Somebody. It's getting to the point, and this is what's beginning to really trouble me. When you get older, at least when I get older, and there's a lot of friends of mine that feel the same way, they get sick and tired of the bureaucracy in a city. They want to be able to have peace and quiet of the country without just the million rules in the city. So they move out to a nice, quiet county. And half the time, they often find that the county is just as bad with the regulations as the city. And they're not safety and they're not statewide, because very often you will go up to the county and you'll ask them why. Because really, speak your mind. Ask them, why is this way? And they will tell you, because we don't want this. You know, I'll give you a perfect example right here on this one. I was told recently, and I'll share with you guys, I was told recently that the RV that I'm staying in 3 days a month while I am maintaining my property, the RV that I'm staying in cannot be on the property. In this particular county, and I won't mention the name, many of you know it, in this particular county, it is against code to have an RV on a piece of property, your own property, without a residence on it. And get this, whether you have it a residence or not, you are not allowed in any way, shape, and form. I understand safety reasons. You are not allowed to occupy the RV. So your kids legally cannot camp out overnight in the RV. You can't have a friend come in from out of town in their RV. You know, like the guy from Vacation. What's his face? You know, that guy. Good old. I forgot his name already. Cousin Ed. Cousin Ed can't come in and stay in Miami-Dade. Miami-Dade. The bureaucratic of the bureaucratic. You can, for a 2-week period, park an RV. Someone can come by and visit in your front yard. You can park an RV for 2 weeks, for 14 days tops. Reasonable, common sense, reasonable law. Love it. You don't want somebody there for months at a time. I get it. But, you know, for 2 weeks at a time, then take off and, you know, and stuff. You have visitors, you have family, that's fine. You know, the only place that you can in this county live in an RV is at a state park or an RV park, somebody that's officially set up for that. Ridiculous rule, you know? So now what happens? Now that rule, I'm an obeyer of rules. I'm an obeyer of authority, and I follow it. I may disagree with it, but I follow it to the T. So now because of that rule, I must move my RV and stay in a state park for the 3 days, drive over here back and forth, waste gas, waste money, waste time to maintain my own property, you know, and as a result, who is it harming? It's harming my neighbors, because now I have to spend all this money staying in a state park. I have to spend all this money in gas going back and forth. So that money was going to go for trees to shade the construction from my neighbors. Not anymore. It's completely legal to have an open residence and a bomb crater for a construction site in full view of the neighbors, which, yeah, I've been building that way all my life. That's normal. But I would have liked to make a nice gesture of putting a bunch of trees all around. Can't afford them now. That'll have to wait till well after. So the county and their regulations in this instance are hurting my neighbors. You know, and they're hurting me because they're costing me money. You know. Yeah, park owners most likely are the ones that lobbied for this. You know, There's a lot of RV park places, and it's a commercial business, and business is business, and so basically the businesses lobby and the individuals lose out. And I understand completely that they don't want somebody squatting on any land, and I get that. I get it completely. I'm moving to a location. I'm building a house. I have purchased acres of property in this place. I am bringing money to this county. I am bringing 3 businesses into this county. I am bringing tax dollars into this county. I am trying to maintain. I have taken a jungle of a vacant property, and I'm going to develop it for my own permanent residence in this county. Shouldn't there be some sort of a, not a loophole, but shouldn't they grant you, shouldn't they, there be a little bit of leeway? But again, it is what it is. Parking in your grass is no longer allowed in Cape Coral. See, there's another one. They allow up to 2 pickup trucks or light vans with graphics to be parked in a driveway or surface residential parcel. Yeah, before these business advertisements were allowed. Yeah. It's. I mean, there's a lot of laws in Miami, in Coral Gables, but then again, I understand Coral Gables is an extremely rich city with a lot of standards. You go into Coral Gables knowing the rules for Coral Gables. That's a different scenario. That one in Coral Gables, you're not allowed to park. Up until recently, you weren't allowed to park a pickup truck. Now I believe you still can't park a pickup. Yet they allow an SUV, strangely enough. It's funny. Ever since SUVs came out, it was different. Before it was either a sedan or a pickup, and then you couldn't park a pickup on your property at all. So if you owned a pickup, you better not. You could park it around behind a fence. There are rules that you are allowed a minimum number of 2 trailers are maximum allowed in many counties in the country. There's a limit to how big of a shed you can have, there's a lot of, some make sense, some don't, but there should be, if you want regulation, you want to spend more tax dollars, by all means, have a committee for a leeway committee that will allow certain things, for certain times. Like, for instance, like right now, I know, my situation is soon going to be resolved because with the house on the property, I can do anything I want, basically anything. It's my house. But the problem that I really don't get, I really do not understand how they could limit somebody from having storage containers and certain things on a property that they're developing. What are they going to do? Every 2 weeks when you have to mow the lawn, you're going to have to drive in a tractor with all your stuff if you live 8 hours away, You can't leave your farm equipment on your land, Now, agricultural, again, different zoning. What do the commercial people do on large construction jobs? They have an office trailer and a tool trailer on the property. Maybe you should have well, that's the thing. That's completely legal, Bobby. And it is. And that's exactly what's going to happen. But you have to have a permit for that. And the issue was one of timing. In my particular situation, my timing is such that I was going to start the build. I was going to start the process in November. I was going to put, and then once the process is started, once the permit is pulled, I got an office trailer. I got sheds. I got containers. I got everything is all building materials. I don't have a problem with any of that. The county does not have an issue while you're building. And you got a certain amount of time to build, so there's never an issue there. The issue is before. And before, in my particular scenario, is I'm one person. You guys have seen my videos. You guys have seen what I've done to this, to the landscaping. I've been trimming trees. I've been cutting them and stuff. I've basically saved somewhere in the neighborhood of $60,000-$70,000 by doing it all myself with a weed whacker, as opposed to coming in with trucks and having them done over a period of 2 weeks just before I start the build. So I'm basically cutting down brush is what I'm doing. I'm maintaining the grass. I'm cutting down bamboo. I'm just clearing the land, not clearing big stuff. I'm just cleaning it from years of neglect. And apparently I'm not allowed to live on the property for those 3 days that I'm clearing it out every month, So it is what it is. So yeah, the next property I buy, I will tell you this much. Because of this rule, I will not be purchasing any more property here in this county. That's all my future properties will be I'll be looking at the rules very, very carefully in adjacent counties, and I will be picking and choosing. I'm also looking into properties in Georgia, North Carolina, and things like that. Because frankly, if they want to, they're trying to make it better by not having, squatters and this and that and RV. I mean, I'm assuming that that's their mentality. But as a result, people that want to invest in the property, that want to build the property on their own, things like that, which is apparently those are the people that they're chasing away. I haven't gotten multiple properties and multiple rental places, and as I don't want to say well off, but I haven't gotten as lucrative of businesses by throwing money out the door, out the window. It's all by putting my own sweat equity into the businesses. I enjoy building, so I'm going to build my house, as opposed to paying twice as much to have somebody else build it. It will be probably even better because I could spend that money on materials and on quality, as opposed to somebody else's overpriced labor. So it is what it is. So in the end, I'm coming up with a better product for less. It's like the Javi box, I mean, if you want to compare it to that, I mean, this is a better quality product for half of what you would normally pay. I mean, the only difference between my box and say an Avid is an Avid NEMA 23 controller is the aluminum case and $800 more. So, come on, it's a no-brainer. Because the quality of the materials inside are top notch. I got the same gut, same everything. pretty much as far as functionality and quality. But anyway, going back to the thing, yeah, Coral Gables Board of Architects approves the color of your home. I'm a painter. I have most of my jobs in the beginning were high-end homes in Coral Gables. People wanted to paint their home this color or that color. Let me tell you some funny rules. Up until 4 years ago, only 4 years ago, Coral Gables, you had to get, it cost $35. It was reasonable. You had to get a permit to paint the inside of your house. Inside. You want to paint a room inside your house, you had to pull a permit. Again, how would they know? But still. And all the colors had to be approved. There is actually an approved list of colors. I have the approved list for Benjamin Moore, for Sherwin-Williams, and you can match, and for Home Depot and Lowe's, but nobody in the Gables uses Home Depot and Lowe's. It's all Ben Moore and Sherwin-Williams. But yeah, I've painted a number of houses, and I know that list by memory because it's a very short list. It's a beautiful town. It's a beautiful town. I would never live there. Never live there. There are many people that have moved out. There are many rich people that it's a certain level of richness that is there. In the beginning, poor people and I could say this because I've been part of the Coral Gables Chamber of Commerce and I know just about everything there is to know about Coral Gables. I've worked there for many a year. Look, and associated with many of the business owners. There's a certain level of people here that cannot afford Coral Gables. Fine. There's a certain level that they go up, and then it's a status to live in Coral Gables, and that's where they will spend their money. And then there's a certain level who make more money because they're living in Coral Gables and associating. And then you get up to the higher ones, the uber rich, who want to live without control, without being controlled, without being told what they want to do. They will get the hell out, and they will buy a good property in other sections of Miami-Dade if they choose to live in the city. Yeah, they'll have their office in Coral Gables. They'll live with the rules in the office because they're working there. They don't care. And things like that. If it comes to that, if it ever came to that the rules are too much, I'd move out of this county and move my businesses out of here as well because I wouldn't want to travel that far. But yeah, I don't think that there will be a problem. The signs posted on the property will warn everyone that you have an active gun range. Yeah. Yep. That's the other beautiful thing about the unincorporated parts of this county. There are a lot of gun owners around here, and they all have no trespassing signs, and they all have guns. So, and they all have places to hide bodies. So it is what it is. That's an advantage. My old township, any project where the materials are over $25, you need a permit. Yeah. Miami, it was, I believe, $500. I think it's $500 here too. Yeah, LEDs, $40 each. Yeah, that's it. And they put limits, they put rules in certain counties. I know many of the rules because there's a contractor. I know many of the rules from many of the different counties. Some of them say $500 within a year's time because you can actually have a $500 project and then the following week do another $500 project. And then the following week do I changed the window. It's not $500, but window's a different story because window is structural. So you got to have a permit for even one window. Miami-Dade. Repairing a window is different. Replacing a window is not. stupidity. Some counties, Miami-Dade, you cannot do electrical yourself. You cannot do plumbing yourself. You cannot do HVAC yourself. You have to be approved by an inspector to do the structure yourself, to have to know that you're ridiculous. You know? Ridiculous. Some other counties, you can do everything yourself. Why? It's going to be inspected and it has to be the code. That makes perfect sense to me. Perfect sense. If you don't know the code, you don't have any business doing it, or get some help, get some advice. But fences, oh my God. In Miami, you cannot put up a fence without a permit. None whatsoever. None. Other parts of the other counties, including this one, I believe, if it's a concrete fence, it's structural, it's understandable, you need a permit. Who the hell would put up a concrete fence? It's ugly as hell. Well, I guess if you have a small lot, but 5 acres, 10 acres, 20 acres, 40 acres, you don't put up a concrete fence for around 40 acres. You put a field fence. Any fence under 6 feet, no problem. Yeah. Crazy laws. But anyways, well, like Glenn said, I guess I got my second wind. That always happens to me. It always happens. I have an exhausting day, but by 9 or 10 o'clock, I'm wide awake. So typical. Anyway, I'll try to get some rest because I got a long day tomorrow. So you guys all have a wonderful evening, and I'll catch you all on Wednesday. Wednesday, I may or may not have a show because I'll be heading home. So depending on how early I get home, I may or may not have a show on Wednesday. But if I don't see you Wednesday, I'll see you Friday. Have a wonderful evening, everybody, and thank you all for coming. Good night, all.